Greetings and welcome to Simple Scotch Reviews. Here we have an extremely interesting whiskey. It is Glendronach 21 Parliament. Let's see if we can get a better shot of the label there. It is a single malt Scotch whiskey from the Glendronach distillery in the Highland region. It is age stated at 21 years old, and it is bottled at 48% ABV. Is there a point there? Nope, just 48% ABV. Alright, so also it is fully matured in ex-sherry casks. It is Pedro Jimenez and Oloroso. Different Glendronachs are PX and Oloroso, and others are just Oloroso. I think in the main lineup, it's just the 18 that's solely Oloroso, and the 12, 15, and 21, all three of those, I believe, are PX and Oloroso. So this is an extremely, I'd say it's definitely in that complex whiskey category of whiskeys. Definitely gonna have to use the notes I had taken down here after dissecting it, because it's one that it's not so easy to dissect. More just keeps coming out to you. So on the nose, right away I get this syrupy fruit quality. There's cherry for sure in that fruit. It's just that dark, overripe, dense. There's a little muskiness from the sherry barrel. I almost get this super faint aroma of cognac. I know it's not cognac aged, but definitely I almost get a little cognac vibe from it initially. Chocolate's a big feature of this whiskey. Definitely get some chocolate note. All that dense overripe fruit. And then as you get accustomed to that in the nose, some other things start to show. I do get a strange peppery note. Not like green pepper vegetable, but like a peppery, black peppery or something, some kind of pepper note. That starts to show, and then behind the fruit also there's some of that nice Christmas baking spice notes that show up. Maybe a tiny hint of vanilla in there. Not really though. So that's an interesting whiskey. So on the palate, this whiskey, just after having had other Glendronachs, I've had this one in the past quite a while ago. I don't recall much of it, so I was glad to get the opportunity to re-review this sample. This whiskey isn't what I expected. Just from what I knew from Glendronach, I expected the 21 was just going to be jam-packing more sherry fruit flavors in there, and I was all upset. This whiskey's not really that. Like, it's not, I don't have any of the 18-year open around to compare, but I recall the 18-year, even maybe some of the younger ones, but for sure that 18, more fruit flavors. I guess I expected the sweet fruit flavors more that from the sherry cask, with the additional years spent in there. But onto the palate. Right away I'm getting those fruit flavors I mentioned. That kind of dark cherry note. But I am getting a peppery quality to the palate as well. It is definitely sweet. There's a syrupy quality. I'm gonna guess that has something to do with that PX cask in there. Definitely sweetness. There is a like dark molassesy note in the nose and palate as well. On the palate, there's also a hint of vanilla. Those baking spices show up later on in the palate. Maybe a bit of clove and cinnamon. There's a hint of a woody flavor in there as well. All those years in the cask. But it all just kind of meshes. Like, it's weird. There are the fruit notes, a lot of syrupy sweetness. There's the peppery note. I forgot to mention, there's also a distinct chocolate note in there. Milk chocolate, I've gotten dark chocolate in some of the other reviews I've put up. This is definitely a milk chocolate. Hint of vanilla with that in there with the milk chocolate. But like I said, this whiskey kind of goes different directions, but it's just balancing, and that's what's great. Goes more directions, and they're not the same as Bunnahabhain 18, but that's one that I'll liken it to just from the standpoint of it's got that interesting balance of spice and fruit and sherry and sweetness, and this one doesn't really have even any kind of a barrel char note or anything like that. I do get a tiny char note from Bunnahabhain 18, faint, but it's there. So it doesn't have that element, but like I was saying, the fruit and the sweetness and the spice and the woodiness at the end, just all kind of, it's pushing all these different ways to keep it in this nice rounded balance. It's a great whiskey, very complex. One unexpected piece of this whiskey is that the finish is in that medium range. It's not as long of a finish as I expected. Not short by any means, but I guess I was just expecting this to be one of those that lingers and lingers and lingers. It does linger for a fair bit, but I was expecting it to be one of the longer finishes I've had in a whiskey, but that didn't turn out to be the case. Not a bad thing, just worth noting. As those flavors from the palate, as they start to dissipate and follow through to the finish, I do get a lingering bit of the chocolate and syrupy sweetness. That's kind of what lingers on. Surprisingly, not the baking spice and woody note as much, just the sweetness and chocolate. Yeah, I was expecting different notes to linger on in the finish, so that was a nice surprise as well. Just to kind of put it in perspective here with my notes, kind of hard to follow when there's so many. So I'll read you what I put. Some of them I put for the palate just to get, this isn't going to tell you magnitude, but just to kind of get out some of the different notes I tasted. I'm not someone that's just going to write down 100 notes in a whiskey and try to derive more from what I do get. I just get a lot of different ones in this one. So definitely syrupy sweetness. I put definitely not as much of a fruit bomb as I expected. There's that odd peppery note, definitely syrupy molasses note as well. Milk chocolate, I put definitely milk, not dark. Hint of vanilla, baking spice, and then I put cinnamon and clove maybe. Definitely a little woodiness. Definitely one where the notes came in handy to keep things straight, because this is not one where you can just, yeah, you can remember from when you had it before, but this isn't one that I could just pour out the sample for the first time, and unless it's a really long video where we're dissecting this thing, I'm not going to be able to just taste it and tell you all the different things. The longer it sat in the glass, the more times I came back to it, more revealed itself. It's a really rewarding whiskey in that way. So I guess overall, excellent whiskey, nothing to be disappointed with here. The only thing I'll say is that prices vary everywhere. I think it's a great special occasion bottle. It would be perfect for Christmas. But I really think that its downfall is I'm not sure it's worth the price increase over the 18-year. The 18-year is also excellent. So not sure from my palate preferences that the 21 does enough. If they were the same price on the shelf, and always going to be the same price, so no surprise there. If it was just, we offer for the same price our 21-year and our 18-year, and I'm only going off of flavor, I probably would go with the 21-year a little more often, but the 18-year is nice too. They're just different, but just to give some perspective, if you've had the 18 but haven't stepped up to the 21, 21 definitely has more complexity, I'd say. That's not always what I want. Sometimes I just want the flavors of the 18, but when it comes to complexity, and it's a darn good whiskey. It's higher proof than the 18 as well. Man, that that's just a interesting complex. Yeah, it's a great whiskey. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I think due to the price though and the oddness of some, it's not just your sherry bomb, fruit bomb, like some people search for in sherry cask. Other people might call it that. I don't think it's that. I think that peppery, the other notes are more prevalent, not more than the fruit necessarily. There's just so much going on. Like I said, it's balanced in that the fruit, the peppery note, the spice, all of it's there. But if you're the kind of person that I want a sherry fruit bomb that's just going to hit me in the face with fruit and be overwhelming fruit from the sherry, I like those whiskeys. This is not in that category. This is something different. However, that's not to knock it at all. Excellent whiskey. So hopefully if you haven't tried it before and are thinking about trying it, this helps you. It may show you, I'll stick with the 18. I don't need to try it. Or I'm chasing the complexity. I need to get some of that. So hopefully the review helped. Check out the channel, like, subscribe to stay up to date. There's tons of reviews on there, lots of different kinds of whiskey and whiskeys. More Scotch coming up, also more whiskey from other regions of the world that I'm going to be putting up there. Just got to get to it. There's a queue waiting. So hope you enjoy the review. Like, subscribe, stay up to date. Drop a question in the comments. I try to answer those questions as quickly as I can. And enjoy your whiskey. Thanks for watching.